The deadline just expired. Trump gave Iran 48 hours. Iran's answer arrived minutes ago. Not a missile, not a drone barrage, something different, something that changes the geometry of this war entirely. Iran's National Defense Council announced it publicly. Any attempt to attack the Iranian coast or its islands will cause all communication lines in the Persian Gulf to be mined, the entire Persian Gulf. And this was not supposed to happen this fast. If you are new here, subscribe right now. This is day 24. The deadline has expired, and what Iran just threatened is not a military response. It is a permanent transformation of the world's most critical waterway into a war zone that no ship can safely cross. Here is what matters. For 24 days, this war has been fought with missiles and drones and airstrikes. Targets you can see, damage you can photograph, destruction you can assess and rebuild. What Iran just threatened is different. Mines are invisible. Mines do not expire when a ceasefire is signed. Mines sit on the ocean floor for months, for years. They do not distinguish between a military vessel and a commercial tanker carrying wheat to Yemen or LNG to Japan. They wait silently until something crosses above them. A mined Persian Gulf is not a closed Persian Gulf. It is something worse. A closed strait can be reopened. A mined gulf has to be swept meter by specialized naval vessels over months of painstaking and dangerous work before a single commercial ship can safely transit. The world has not priced this in, not even close. This is not a small development. Wave 1, the deadline and the silence here, is the sequence that matters. Trump posted the ultimatum. Open the Strait of Hormuz fully within 48 hours or we obliterate your power plants, starting with the biggest one first. That clock expired today, right now, as this video plays, and Trump is silent. No strike announcement, no Truth Social post declaring victory, no press conference, no secondary ultimatum, silence. Iran read that silence, Iran read it fast, and Iran responded not by backing down, but by escalating the threat into territory that nobody in Washington modeled as a possibility. First, the power plant counter threat, irreversibly destroy Gulf energy infrastructure. Then the Hormuz permanent closure threat, won't reopen until every bombed plant is rebuilt. Now this, mine every communication line in the Persian Gulf if the coast or islands are touched. 3 escalations in 24 hours, each one bigger than the last. That was just the first wave. Wave 2, what mining the Gulf actually means here is the part people miss. Iran has been mining capabilities for decades. The IRGC's naval forces specifically developed mine warfare as an asymmetric tool precisely because Iran cannot match American naval power in a conventional engagement. The Persian Gulf is not the open ocean. It is a confined body of water averaging only 50 meters in depth. Shallow, enclosed, predictable shipping lanes, ideal conditions for mine deployment. During the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, Iranian mines damaged the USS Samuel B. Roberts, nearly sinking it and wounding 10 American sailors. That was one mine in one incident. In a less sophisticated era, Iran has spent 40 years improving this capability. Since then, the U.S. Navy has mine countermeasure vessels in the region, but sweeping a body of water the size of the Persian Gulf while simultaneously conducting air operations over Iran, while defending against missile barrages across 6 countries, while managing a diplomatic crisis with 90 million people watching is not a clean military operation. It is chaos, organized chaos at best. This is where it becomes dangerous. Wave 3, the shitting calculation breaks, then came the development that changes everything about global trade. The Strait of Hormuz was already functionally closed. Traffic dropped 90% in the first week. Shipping companies rerouted around Africa. Insurance markets declared the entire Gulf a war risk zone. That was the baseline. Now add mines. Shipping companies that were already avoiding Hormuz will now avoid the entire Persian Gulf, not because of missiles they can track on radar and potentially evade, because of objects on the ocean floor they cannot see, cannot predict, and cannot survive. The UAE's ports, Qatar's LNG terminals, Bahrain's refining facilities, Kuwait's oil export infrastructure. Every one of those nodes sits inside the Persian Gulf. Every one of them depends on ships being able to enter and exit safely. A mined Gulf does not just close Hormuz, it closes everything inside it. Brent crude is at $114. Goldman Sachs said prices persist through 2027 based on a closed Hormuz. The model did not include a mined Persian Gulf. Not sustainable, not normal. This is how the global economy breaks fast. Like the video right now. Tell me in the comments, does Trump carry out the power plant strike now? Or has the mining threat changed his calculus entirely? Wave 4, the trap here is the detail that should make you stop. Iran's mining threat is not just a military threat, it is a strategic trap. Option 1, Trump strikes the power plants, Iran mines the Gulf, every ship inside becomes a potential casualty, every nation that uses Gulf ports, which is most of the world's major economies, turns on Washington, not on Tehran, on Washington, because Washington pulled the trigger that activated the mines. Option 2, Trump does not strike, the deadline passes, the ultimatum collapses. Iran has now successfully called the largest military bluff in American presidential history, and every adversary from Moscow to Beijing to Pyongyang recalibrates what American ultimatums are actually worth. Option 3, Trump tries to occupy or blockade Karg Island, Iran's main oil export hub. As reports from Axios indicated Washington was considering, Iran's response to that is already written. Any attack on the Iranian coast or its islands. Those were the exact words. Karg Island is an Iranian island. Every door in this room leads to a worse room. This is where things spiral. Wave 5, the global picture. Watch what happens next. 22 nations signed a statement agreeing to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. Australia, the UAE, others, but not one of them has explained what that actually means operationally. Not one of them has described how you secure a strait when the country controlling one side of it has just threatened to put mines on the ocean floor. You cannot negotiate with a mine. You cannot sanction a mine. You cannot diplomatically pressure a mine into deactivating itself. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan is in talks with Iran, Egypt, and the EU simultaneously. The Omani channel that was mediating nuclear talks 3 weeks ago is trying to find a reopening. The State Department just told every American on Earth to exercise increased caution because Iranian-linked groups may target U.S. interests globally, not just in the Middle East, globally. This story is not over. The next phase may look nothing like the 24 days before it. Day 24. The deadline expired. Trump is silent. Iran mined the conversation before it mined the water. 3 escalations in 24 hours. Each one bigger, each one harder to reverse. The Persian Gulf carries 20% of the world's oil. Mines do not care about that number. Mines do not care about Goldman Sachs projections. Mines do not care about ceasefire negotiations. Mines wait silently on the floor of the most important body of water on Earth. And right now, nobody in Washington has announced what happens next. Nobody in Jerusalem. Nobody in the 22 nations that promised to help secure a strait that may already be too dangerous to enter. The deadline is gone. The silence is louder than any missile. And what fills that silence in the next few hours changes everything.